So imagine you're moving into your, dream home, finally,
Right.
a revitalized neighborhood, everything's looking up.
Yeah.
And then you realize that your house has, like, all these problems,
Oh, we
and it's
know.
supposed to be affordable, right?
Right.
But it just seems like the math isn't adding up.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what some residents in Baltimore Station East neighborhood found themselves dealing with, unfortunately.
And that's what brings us to this week's deep dive.
Okay.
We're looking at a letter that was sent to the Baltimore City Office of Inspector General back in 2019
Wow, okay.
by a Station East resident. His name is Nicholas Miles.
Mm-hmm.
And it outlines some really pretty serious accusations of financial misconduct.
So we're talking like potential corruption, real estate, community development.
All of that. Yep.
This is going to be juicy. All right, so before we get into like all the specific accusations,
Sure.
can you just give us like a quick who's who? Like, who are the major players in this whole Station East project?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So at the center of it all, you have HEBCAC, which is the Historic East Baltimore Community Action Coalition.
Okay.
They're a nonprofit.
Okay.
And they focus on, as you might guess, community development.
Makes sense. Right.
They partnered with the city on this project, even Johns Hopkins University.
Wow. Okay.
And at HEBCAC, they have this for-profit arm called Eager Street Development.
Okay.
And they were the ones who actually built the homes in Station East.
So you have like the nonprofit and then their for-profit counterpart, both involved in this whole thing.
Exactly, yeah.
I can already tell this is going to get a little messy.
And it gets even more interesting. So Miles specifically calls out Edward Sabatino and Jeff Thompson in his letter.
Okay.
And they were leading both organizations.
So the same people were in charge of the nonprofit that's supposed to be all about community development.
Yeah.
Andy, the for-profit developer.
That's right.
Talk about wearing two hats. Wow.
Yeah.
What does Miles say about that, about them, leading both?
Well, that's where his accusations really come in.
Okay.
He's saying that whole structure, it allowed them to get access to funds that were meant for affordable housing, the kind that's supposed to actually benefit the community.
Right, right.
But then they could sell those same homes at prices that were not affordable.
Oh, so he's saying they're taking money that's supposed to go to the community and then they're turning around and kind of like exploiting that?
Yeah, essentially.
Wow. And this is all in his letter?
It's all in the letter, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a big accusation to make.
Right.
So let's break it down. Like, what evidence does he actually have to back this up? Where does he say things started going wrong?
So he gets into a few different areas of concern.
Okay.
But one of the big ones, he calls them historic tax credit discrepancies.
Historic tax credit discrepancy.
Yeah, so Miles is claiming that buyers like him, they were promised a discount on their homes,
Okay.
which would be funded by these tax credits to
Right.
make the homes more affordable, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
But he says this discount never happened.
Hold on. He was promised a discount that he never got.
Yeah, that's his claim.
Okay, so how do these tax credits work in the first place, and then what does he think happened to them?
Yeah, so these historic tax credits, they're kind of, a little complicated.
Okay.
But basically, it's a way to give developers a financial incentive
Okay.
to, like, rehab historic buildings.
Okay.
They get to claim a percentage of the money they spent on these renovations
Okay.
as a credit, like against their federal income taxes.
Okay, so it's like a tax break, basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the idea is that, those savings get passed on to the home buyers.
Makes the homes more affordable.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. But Miles is saying that didn't happen here in Station East.
That's right. Miles is saying not only did he not get this discount that he was promised,
Right.
but he's saying that they might have actually, like, inflated their costs
What?
to get even bigger tax credit.
Oh, so it's like a double whammy. They're denying the home buyers the discount, and,
Right.
and they're also trying to, like,
Yeah, pocket more money for themselves.
pocket more money. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, what evidence does he have? Like, how could he even know that?
So he actually gives some pretty specific examples in his letter.
Okay.
He talks about one house where the developer claimed $4,500 for a basement entrance and exit.
Okay.
But the thing is, the entrance and exit, they didn't even exist.
They just made it up.
It seems that way, yeah.
Wow.
And then he talks about some issues with the pricing of kitchen appliances.
Okay.
The developer listed one price on the tax credit application, right?
Right.
But then the actual receipt from Home Depot was way lower.
So they were like bumping up the prices to get more money back.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Wow, that's crazy. It's amazing to me that kind of stuff can like slip through the cracks,
Yeah.
But I feel like this can't be it, right? Like, this isn't the end of it. There's got to be more.
Oh, there's more. Yeah.
Okay.
The tax credit thing, that's really just the tip of the iceberg. He goes on to allege that there were questionable construction practices, like throughout this whole development.
Oh, no. Okay.
Remember those high-performance homes?
Right. Yeah.
Like energy efficient, top-notch construction, all that?
Yeah, they made it seem pretty nice.
Right. But Miles is saying the reality was very, very different.
Oh, no. So, like, those dream homes were not so dreamy.
Not really. He claims there were serious structural issues.
Really?
Like not just, a couple of cracks here and there.
Right.
We're talking big problems that would require, like, a ton of repairs.
Wow. And expensive repairs, probably.
Oh, yeah. He actually gives a number for this. He says that 5 homes needed a collective $470,000 in repairs.
$470,000
For just 5 homes.
So, like, what? Almost $100,000 per house?
Yeah, it's an average of over $90,000 a house.
That's insane. Like, imagine you buy this new house, you put all your money into it,
Right.
and then you get hit with this, like, repair bill that's basically another down payment on a whole other house, practically.
Right. It's awful.
Ugh, it's awful.
No.
So what happened? What did the residents do?
So Miles says that when they told HEBCAC about these problems,
Yeah.
they said they would take care of it.
Okay.
But then they just kind of dragged their feet. They never actually did anything.
Classic, right.
So these homeowners, they're stuck
Right.
with these, poorly constructed homes
Right.
and these huge bills.
Ugh. Terrible. And this is all, like, feeding back into that whole conflict of interest thing.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a perfect example of why it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
HEBCAC, the nonprofit.
Right.
They're supposed to be advocating for the community.
Right.
But then you also have Eager Street Development,
Right.
who just wants to make a profit.
Right. And those are not always the same thing, are they?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So how does this play into the whole Station East situation? Like, does he give any specific examples of this?
So he says that the city, they sold the properties to Eager Street Development, right?
Okay.
And they sold them below market value
Okay.
to, encourage affordability. But then those same homes, they were sold at way higher prices than a lot of people in the community could actually afford.
So they're like getting this deal from the city
Right.
by saying, "Oh, affordable housing, this is great."
Yeah.
But then they're just turning around and, like, jacking up the prices
Exactly.
to make a huge profit.
Exactly.
There-
It's so messed up.
And he backs this up with figures from the development, and he's saying that after you factor in, like, all the costs and everything and those tax credits that we talked about,
Right.
Eager Street Development, they were in a position to make a really hefty profit.
Oh, I bet they were.
And he's saying, if they were really committed to affordable housing, like their nonprofit arm says they are,
Right.
that profit, it should have gone back into the community,
Of course.
not into their pockets.
Yeah, it's common sense.
Ugh.
Okay, so we have these financial inconsistencies. We have potential construction flaws, and then we have this conflict of interest.
Right.
And it's a lot to, like, figure out. So I want to bring in your expertise here.
Yeah.
From a legal standpoint, ethically, what are we even looking at if these allegations end up being true?
Well, that's the million-dollar question,
Yeah,
right? Now, it's really important to remember that right now these are just allegations.
Right.
But if they are true, I mean, we could be talking about, like, serious consequences.
Right.
You can't just misuse public funds like that,
Right.
especially money that's meant for affordable housing. That's not just numbers on a balance sheet.
Right. You're talking about people's lives.
Exactly. This money, it was supposed to help people.
Low-income families achieve home ownership.
Right.
And if it was diverted, for personal gain, that's devastating.
Of course.
And then there's also the ethical side of it, right?
Right, like the betrayal almost.
Exactly. This is a community organization
Ah.
that people trusted, and if they were engaging in predatory practices,
Right.
I mean, that's awful.
It is. It makes you lose faith in institutions,
Yeah.
Like, how are you supposed to get ahead when this is happening?
Really disheartening.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's one more layer to this whole thing that we need to, like, unpack,
Yeah.
which is this issue with lands
Yeah.
and residential title.
Right, right.
Can you explain what that's all about? Lands, residential title. It's like we're about to go down some real estate rabbit hole. Explain it to me. Okay, so imagine this. You buy a used car.
Right.
You're excited to drive it off the lot.
Right, right.
But then it turns out there's this loan on it from the previous owner.
Oh.
and you don't actually fully own the car.
Oh, no.
And if they don't pay up, the bank could come after you.
What?
That's basically what a lien is.
Okay.
It's a legal claim on a property.
So it's like this financial burden following the house around, even with a new owner.
Yeah, exactly.
And how does this connect to the Station East homes?
So Miles is saying that Residential Title, the company that handled all of the closings,
Right.
they didn't disclose these liens that were on some of the properties.
Wait, so people bought these homes
Yeah.
without even knowing?
Yeah, they thought they were getting a clean slate,
Right.
but there were these strings attached.
Oh my God.
That's what he's claiming.
Wow.
And specifically, he says that HEBCAC and Eager Street Development,
Right.
they used some of these Station East properties
Yeah.
as collateral for a loan.
What?
So if they default, those houses are at risk, even though someone else owns them.
This is crazy. It's like every layer of this, there's just more and more problems.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But this is bigger than just one neighborhood, right? This kind of stuff?
Absolutely. This
That's
happens all over.
This is about gentrification, affordable housing, the power dynamics between developers, communities, and the city.
It's like that saying, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes.
Yeah, exactly.
We've seen this before. You get these neighborhoods, they're quote-unquote being revitalized.
Right.
Promises of affordable housing.
Right. And then somehow the people who actually live there, they get pushed out.
And that's the real cost of all of this, right? It's not just the money. It's about people's lives being disrupted, the community being scattered.
Right. It's about trust.
Exactly.
And opportunity, or the lack of it, I guess?
Yeah, it's about who gets to benefit from these projects.
Right, right. So this letter from Nicholas Miles, it's a lot to process, but it really makes you think about the people behind all of this,
Absolutely.
It's not just numbers on a spreadsheet, it's people's homes, their lives.
Exactly. It's about real people.
So what happened? I mean, this was 2019, the letter was sent to the Inspector General.
Right.
What came of it?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't know.
Really?
The letter doesn't say.
Oh, wow.
We don't know if there was an investigation, if anything came of these allegations.
So it's like a story with a missing ending.
In a way, yeah.
We're just left with more questions like, what happened to Nicholas Miles?
Right. What about his neighbors?
Yeah.
Did anything change?
It's kind of unsettling.
It is. And maybe that's the point.
What do you mean?
Sometimes the most important thing isn't finding the answers.
Okay.
It's about asking the questions.
Asking the questions, yeah.
About transparency, about who these projects are actually benefiting.
Right, whose interests are really being served here.
Exactly.
Is it the community or is it something else,
That's something to think about.
It is. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. That this story, it's not over. If you're as curious as we are about what happened in Station East, we encourage you to do your own digging.
Absolutely. See what you can find.
Look into these allegations, check out those tax records, talk to your neighbors, get involved.
Yeah, get informed.
Because sometimes it just takes a few curious people to shine a light on these kinds of situations and maybe even make a difference.
Exactly. The truth is out there.
And that's what we're all about here on The Deep Dive.
Absolutely.
Uncovering the truth no matter how complex or how deep it goes.
That's right. We'll keep digging.
And we hope you will too until next time.